Hey guys, I wanted to do a video on climb versus conventional cutting, okay? This is just two different ways of cutting. You're going to be using mostly right-handed drill bits, which we kind of got right here. It's always going to spin in a counterclockwise motion on the part that you're working on. I got one here in the chuck, or in the spindle, and I got one right here. Same exact tool. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the differences really quick here. So conventional cutting is when you're going to be cutting along this part, and your piece, you're going to be scraping the metal out like this. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but it's going to be a scraping pattern, and you're going to be spinning along like this, and it's going to be scraping it out. So that way it's scooping it out really nice and gentle. Now with conventional or climb milling, what's happening is you're going to be working on the opposite side, and these will be horrible drawings here. You're going to be hitting this hard edge. Instead of a scooping pattern like over here, it's actually going to be hitting this hard edge every time with each cutter. So it's going to be scooping like this, okay, as it's moving down. So imagine that the mill is now hanging off the edge a little bit. Oops, hanging off this edge a little bit, and it's actually hitting that hard edge every time. Okay. The reason I want to point this out is conventional cutting is significantly easier on your mill, or your end mills, and even on your mill. So when we're doing just general cuts, you always want to be trying to have a little bit hanging off the edge, about half the distance or half the thickness of your end mill. You want to make sure it's always kind of scooping it out instead of hitting that hard edge. Okay. Here's the other thing. Climb milling, this one over here that's harder on the mill, actually leaves a better surface finish, but it also will leave burrs. So what we'll typically do is we'll do all of our general cuts conventional cutting over here, and then we'll do all of our finish cuts climb cutting. And when I say we're going to do it all climb cutting, we're actually going to be only taking about 5 to 10 thousandths off at a time. So you might take 30 or 40 thousandths off every time you're cutting conventionally, and then you're going to go and do just a really thin skim cut with this, maybe even at a higher speed, because it's going to leave a better surface finish. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip on the mill, and we're going to go ahead and actually make some of these cuts, okay? So get you a better idea of how it's going to work. Alright, so we're going to start at like 1200 RPMs, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and do a little bit of conventional cutting first. So, and I'm just going to do this all by hand. Let's see if we're even going to test the part here. Just a second. Alright. Making sure it was spinning in the correct direction. And this will be just a scooping pattern, okay? Okay, so now I'm just going to back off, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do some climb cutting for you. And again, we're just going to do this by hand. And like I said, every time it's going around, it's hitting that hard edge, and it's just wearing down on that end mill a little bit. Now granted, this is aluminum, so it's able to take it pretty easy, but some of the harder steels definitely will beat up that end mill a lot more. So and the reality is, it's the same. The bit is spinning the same direction. You're cutting the same amount of metal, but cutting it this way is easier than this way. Okay, so just a thought. I want you to kind of always be trying to conventional if you're taking heavy cuts, and if you're doing final cuts, go ahead and switch to that climb milling, and you're going to notice a better finish. Okay, thanks guys.